So let's take a look now at how the tradable pollution permits game or simulation will work. And here you have, in this scenario, a polluted lake or area, and the management authorities, the government of this country or state, has decided to set a pollution limit in this lake of 500 units of pollution. It is receiving 710 units of pollution from these 5 polluting sources, 1 through 5 here. When you get into your group, each of the 5 people in the group will be assigned to either A, B, C, D, or E. As the game begins, each of the factories, industries, or polluters will have a pre-assigned level of pollution that they are contributing to the lake. But the management authorities would want to reduce pollution by 210 units. To do this, however, they have put laws in place which allocate 100 units of pollution allowance or permits, if you want to call them that, to each of the 5 polluters. Now notice that the level of pollution is different for each of the 5. And if we look here, we will see that the cost to each of the 5 polluters, A to E, of reducing 1 unit of pollution is 20, 30, 100, 10, and 90. So each of our 5 polluters, they have a different cost associated with their cleanup because they have different factories, different technologies, different production variables, and each one has a different, what we call, abatement cost. But the management authority in the area has allocated 100 permits to each of the polluting industries. But because the abatement cost or the cleanup cost is different for each polluter, here we can see that A is moving from 125 to 100, which is the new limit. A can choose to move to less than 100 if it wants, but its cost of doing that, moving from 125 to 100, is 500. B could stay at 85 because it's within the level allocated of 100. Cost to do that would be 0. C needs to move from 200 to 100 with a high abatement cost of 100, so the total cost for C will be 10,000. D, total cost 500, and E, total cost 4,500. Now, we must bear in mind that the regulatory authority, the management authority, the government of this area, has one simple goal: to go from 710 to 500 units. The government could simply set a law and say 100 units for each industry and leave it at that. And you could consider managing the problem that way. But in this scenario, with the tradable pollution permit, the government wants to reward any industry that can reduce its pollution as much as possible. And it wants to ask the polluters to pay if they want to continue to pollute, and it wants to provide an economic incentive for any industry that can reduce its pollution below 100. What they can do is they can sell their permits or trade them to the ones who do not want to clean up or reduce or abate pollution. So it rewards any industry that wants to make profits out of working in a cleaner way. The more that pollution could be reduced, the more profit it would be for that industry to sell permits to others who may find it more difficult to reduce their pollution levels. So as you get into your group of 5, you will be able to trade permits. And of course, each member of the team of 5 must be aiming to replicate the real world of business. You as a businessman are aiming to maximize your benefits and profits. You want to reduce pollution, yes, meet the standards, not violate the laws, and maximize profits. Of course, to make all of this work, you must have laws, enforcement of laws and a certain amount of integrity going on with the enforcement of those laws. Finally, I would also like, after the group has gone through the experience, to discuss the role of EVS in this process and to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of using this economic instrument of the tradable emission or tradable pollution permit in the management of pollution. Also, I want you to consider the importance of laws and the enforcement of these laws in making this work, and to also discuss what is the role of EVS in this entire process.